At the beginning of the story, we're shown a title crawl with a narration explaining how a vacation trip taken by 5 teenagers eventually turned into a nightmare. The story begins in 1974, where several crime scene images are shown. Through a radio broadcast, we hear that bodies are being stolen from a cemetery in a small town in Texas. An unknown person has been digging up buried corpses and stealing them from their graves. Even the police have been unable to figure out who is responsible for these disturbing crimes. Soon after, we see 5 teenagers traveling together in a van. Sally has come with her friends to investigate her grandfather's grave, worried that it might have been stolen as well. However, during their investigation, they discover that the grave is still intact.
After that, the group decides to head towards Sally's old family home. On the way, they pass by a slaughterhouse where Sally and Franklin's grandfather used to work. Shortly afterward, they pick up a hitchhiker who asks them for a ride. Without thinking much about it, they allow him to get into their van. The hitchhiker tells them that members of his family also work at the same slaughterhouse. He begins describing the entire meat processing procedure in disturbing detail: how animals are killed, how their skins are removed, and how the bodies are boiled afterward. Listening to him makes everyone in the van increasingly uncomfortable. Suddenly, the man grabs a knife from Franklin and begins cutting his own hand with it. At that moment, everyone realizes that this man is mentally unstable. A little later, he takes a photo of Franklin and tries to sell it back to him. When Franklin refuses, the hitchhiker becomes angry and burns the photograph.
His anger escalates even further. Pulling out a razor blade, the crazed man cuts Franklin's arm. Finally, the group stops the van and forcefully throws him out before driving away. The incident leaves Franklin shaken and frightened. After some time, the group stops at a gas station, but the owner tells them that the station has run out of gas. They also ask him for directions to Sally's old house. The man says he doesn't know the exact location, but he warns them to stay away from a certain nearby property. Eventually, they find Sally's old house, where she begins giving her friends a tour. Meanwhile, Kirk and Pam learn that there used to be a lake behind the house, so they decide to go there for a swim. However, when they arrive, they discover that the lake has completely dried up. At that moment, they hear the sound of a generator coming from a nearby farmhouse. Hoping to find some gasoline there, Kirk and Pam walk toward the property. When they reach the farmhouse, they notice several old vehicles and a large generator. Kirk calls out to see if anyone is home, but no one responds.
At that moment, Kirk notices that the main door of the house is open. Without thinking much, he walks inside, something that soon proves to be the biggest mistake of his life. The moment he steps in, he hears the loud squealing of a pig from somewhere inside the house. Suddenly, a terrifying figure wearing a mask, Leatherface, appears in front of him. Leatherface immediately strikes Kirk on the head with a heavy hammer. The blow is so powerful that Kirk collapses instantly. Leatherface then drags his body into the kitchen. It soon becomes clear that this house actually belongs to Leatherface himself. Meanwhile, Pam, who has been waiting outside for Kirk, becomes worried and decides to go inside the house to look for him. As soon as she enters, she accidentally trips and falls onto a pile of bones. When she looks around, she realizes something horrifying. There are bones everywhere. Not only animal bones, but also human bones have been arranged around the house like decorations.
Seeing this terrifying sight, Pam becomes extremely frightened. She tries to leave the house immediately, but just as she attempts to escape, Leatherface notices her running. He catches her right at the main door and drags her back inside. With brutal strength, he hangs her alive on a large meat hook. The scene becomes incredibly painful and disturbing. After that, Leatherface turns on his chainsaw and begins cutting up Kirk's dead body right in front of Pam. Hanging helplessly on the hook, she watches everything while screaming in agony.
Since Kirk and Pam have been gone for quite some time, their friend Jerry decides to go looking for them. By now, evening has fallen, and Jerry eventually reaches Leatherface's house. Outside, he finds Kirk's jacket lying on the ground. This makes him suspicious, so he enters the house to investigate. When Jerry walks into the kitchen, he notices that Pam is no longer hanging from the hook, and Kirk's body is also gone. Suddenly, he hears strange noises coming from a freezer nearby. When he opens it, Pam suddenly pops out. She's still alive but badly injured. However, before Jerry can do anything to help her, Leatherface suddenly bursts into the room screaming. With a single powerful hammer strike, he kills Jerry as well. Now, Leatherface appears extremely angry. In his rage, he stuffs Pam back into the freezer and shuts it, which ultimately causes her death.
Leatherface is acting this way because he is terrified and confused about why so many strangers keep entering his home. Meanwhile, it has already become late at night. Sally grows worried because her friends still haven't returned. She decides to go look for them, but her brother Franklin insists on coming along with her. The two of them head into the dark woods. After walking for some time, Franklin begins hearing strange noises in the darkness. Suddenly, Leatherface appears out of nowhere, holding his chainsaw. Without warning, he drives the chainsaw straight into Franklin, brutally tearing him apart. Franklin dies in a horrific and violent way.
When Sally witnesses this horrifying scene, she is completely shocked. Without wasting a second, she starts running for her life. Leatherface chases her with his chainsaw. While running, Sally notices a faint light glowing in the distance and heads toward it, hoping someone there can help her. But in her panic, she accidentally runs back toward Leatherface's own house. She quickly runs inside and locks the door, but Leatherface begins cutting through it with his chainsaw. Sally runs upstairs and hides in the attic. There, she sees two people sitting on chairs, but soon realizes they are not alive. They are actually dead bodies. Meanwhile, Leatherface finally breaks through the door and enters the house. At that exact moment, Sally jumps out of the attic window and escapes again, running desperately through the woods.
Leatherface continues chasing her relentlessly. Eventually, Sally reaches the gas station that we saw earlier at the beginning of the story. She rushes into the store and begs the owner to call the police immediately. The owner tries to calm her down and tells her that he doesn't have a telephone at the moment, but he can drive her to the police station in his truck. However, things soon take a dark turn. The owner brings out a sack and a rope from somewhere. Seeing this, Sally realizes that this man's intentions are not good. She quickly grabs a knife lying nearby to defend herself, but the owner overpowers her and repeatedly hits her with a broom until she loses consciousness. After this, the man ties Sally's hands and feet, stuffs her into the sack he brought, and places it in the back of his truck. He then starts driving away with her. While traveling down the road, he suddenly comes across the same hitchhiker who earlier behaved strangely inside Sally's van. The shop owner gets out of the truck and begins beating the hitchhiker, and then both of them take Sally back to the house of Leatherface. Soon it becomes clear that both of these men are connected to Leatherface. They're actually part of the same family. During their conversation, it's revealed that Leatherface is their brother. The older brother, who owns the gas station and the shop, is known as the cook. At one point, the cook angrily scolds and even beats Leatherface because he allowed Sally to escape earlier and also damaged the front door with his chainsaw. In reality, Leatherface has the mind of a child and can barely speak properly. He simply follows whatever his family members tell him to do. Since it is already late at night, the family decides that it is time for dinner. The hitchhiker and Leatherface then bring their grandfather downstairs. They cut Sally's finger and let her blood drip into the grandfather's mouth. It is revealed that this extremely old man is 124 years old and somehow still alive. Witnessing this horrifying situation causes Sally to faint. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself tied to a chair at the dinner table. Leatherface's family is happily eating dinner around her.
During the conversation, the hitchhiker proudly explains that he and Leatherface kill people, while their older brother cooks the bodies. This is why everyone calls him the Cook. Terrified, Sally begins begging them to let her go. She pleads, asking what she has ever done to them and why they are doing this to her. But her desperate pleas mean nothing to them. The Cook suggests that they should simply kill her immediately and end the whole matter. However, the hitchhiker insists that the honor of killing her should go to their grandfather, because he used to be the best killer among them. So they untie Sally and drag her toward the grandfather. Leatherface places a hammer in the old man's hand so he can kill her himself, but the grandfather is so weak that he can barely even hold the hammer properly. Leatherface repeatedly tries to position it in his hand, and at one point the hammer even hits Sally's head, though not hard enough to kill her. While they argue about finishing the job quickly, Sally suddenly sees an opportunity. She manages to free herself and runs toward a nearby window. Smashing through it, she jumps outside and escapes the house once again. By now, it is early morning. Sally runs toward the road, but the hitchhiker and Leatherface immediately chase after her with a chainsaw. After running for a while, the hitchhiker manages to catch her and begins slashing her back with a razor blade. At that moment, a large truck suddenly approaches at high speed. Sally quickly jumps out of the way, but the hitchhiker is struck by the truck and gets crushed to death. The truck driver stops to help Sally. However, when he sees Leatherface running toward them with a chainsaw, he panics and jumps back into the truck with her. Leatherface almost reaches them, but the driver throws a heavy wrench at him, knocking him down. When Leatherface falls, his own chainsaw cuts into his leg. Even though he is badly injured and in pain, he still struggles to get up. Just then, another small truck approaches the road. She desperately waves for help. The driver stops when he sees her, and before Leatherface can reach her again, Sally jumps into the truck. The driver quickly speeds away from the area.
Sally is now safe. Overwhelmed with relief and shock, she begins laughing hysterically, realizing that she has finally escaped the nightmare. In the distance, Leatherface is left alone on the road, wildly swinging his chainsaw and performing his iconic chainsaw dance. And with that, the story comes to an end. Thanks for watching. Please comment if you liked the video.